Good morning, Hammers fans. I hope you're all well. I'm Nick, and this is a morning show brought to you in association with 6'2". Now, I'm sure you all caught the launch show with Gary on Tuesday morning, and this is going to be exactly the same format, a quick and snappy news show focused on the latest West Ham news and rumours. So, whilst you're all digging into your coffee and cornflakes, we're going to be running through the following stories. Simon Jordan believes that Kalvin Phillips will be a fool to join West Ham. Jim White, his mate, thinks that David Moyes is off to Man United in the summer. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's just as well that I'm bloody not allowed to swear this early in the morning. We touch on the very strong rumour that Calvert Lewin could be on his way to West Ham before looking ahead to the weekend's clash with Frank Lampard's Everton, where we're going to focus on the absolute mess that they're in and why I think that they may not survive this season. So on to the first story of the day. Simon Jordan of TalkSport says that Kalvin Phillips moving to West Ham will be a backward step for the player as Leeds are a bigger club than West Ham. What a load of nonsense. Now, whilst I accept that Leeds are a big club, historically, you know, a one-city team and all that stuff, look, players do tend to live in the here and now and they want to be challenging at the top end of the league as opposed to sort of fighting relegation. And of course, you know, playing European football as well. And at present, you know, West Ham, we're a club on the up. We've got a brilliant manager. We're building a fantastic team, you know, albeit, look, he's building it a bit slower than many of us would like, but we're not going to touch on that and the transfer windows and stuff. But it's going well, you know, we're having our second consecutive brilliant season. And if reports are to be believed, we've got a huge transfer budget in the summer for Moyes to take us to the next level. And if you add to that Phillips and Rice are mates, you know, they're also the first choice England central midfield pairing. What is not to like about this deal for the player? You know, it just fits. Yes, he is a top-class player, but he's playing for an average Premier League team. And if he comes in, we know he's going to come in and improve us straight away. You know, in my opinion, we should absolutely be trying to sign this profile of player. And although, look, I don't see Rice leaving this summer, we've got to prepare for his departure at some point if he doesn't sign a bloody contract. So it does make complete sense to bring in players like Phillips, you know, players of that calibre in the middle of the park. I mean, just imagine for a moment West Ham having a central midfield sort of the options of Rice valued at 150 million, Souček valued at, 50 million, Phillips 60 million. I mean, it's just stuff for dreams, isn't it? And look, you never know. You never know. This all feels very weird at West Ham, but I'm hopeful that something special is going to happen in the summer. So, in summary, Simon Jordan, can West Ham sign Kalvin Phillips? Well, yes, of course we bloody can. And I think we're going to be going back after him in the summer. Now, look, before we move on to the next story, I want to touch on another gem from TalkSport that I came across just before I recorded this show. And this time it's from Jordan's partner in crime, the perpetually loathsome Jim White. I'd like to call him something else, but it is early, so I'm not going to. Well, he's piped up anyway, and he said that due to the fact that Ralph Rangnick is not going to be at Old Trafford next year, Moyes should 100% be on the list of possible successors at Man United. He feels that Man United never gave him a fair crack, and that both Moyes and Man United, they must feel like they've got unfinished business. Now, this just goes to show the lengths at which TalkSport will talk inflammatory nonsense to whip up a bit of outrage for clicks. And it is such a weak attempt from White as well. You know, let's face it, Moyes is living the dream at West Ham. He is. He's turned the club around. He's a bit of a hero by all accounts. He's got full control. And by his own admission, he's got the best team that he's ever had. And add to that, he's being backed to build and strengthen further in the summer. So we hope anyway. But look, Moyes is far from walking away from West Ham. It's not going to happen. And certainly not to take hold of that poison chalice again. You know, once bitten, twice shy and all that. That kind of ruined it could have ruined his career because that sent him on a bit of a downward spiral, didn't it? But anyway, look, that's enough for Jim White and Simon Jordan for one show. Let's move on to a transfer rumour. Now, this is a recurring link with Calvert Lewin of Everton. Now, I know that we all have different opinions on what striker we should be signing, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, like Lingard, many fans don't appear excited by the link. It's all about opinions, I suppose, isn't it? So I'm not going to go into a breakdown of stats on the player. We all know very well how good Calvert Lewin is, and yes, even if you don't like him, look, he's a massive upgrade on what we've got at the moment. He really is. We also know that Moyes knows and likes the player. We know that Everton, they've got to sell next season. They're going to be in financial bother anyway with FFP and all these other sanctions that have been put against them. And they're going to be in even worse trouble if they get relegated. So look, and there's also the facts. Look, Calvert Lewin, he seems to be out of favour at the club at present. He doesn't seem to be playing that much. So yeah, it could be due to the fact that he's had his injury problems this year. But and he is a player that has struggled with injury problems in the past. But look, honestly, I would be over the moon if we signed him personally. He knows the league inside out. He can play that lone striker role, which we need. He does work. He works his socks off, and he ticks almost every box for David Moyes. And don't forget, he was England's backup striker before this season as well. Now the rumour is that we could grab him for as little as 40 million, which is remarkable value for a top English striker in their prime, which he is. So what are your thoughts on Calvert Lewin? Would you like him at the club? Personally, I'd be happy. I think the strikers that we've been linked with over the past few windows, they're going to be revisited. David Moyes isn't just going to bin all of that work that he did. He's done he's put a lot of work in researching these players, and just because he couldn't get them over the line in the last two windows, he will go back in again. So I think expect the likes of Patrick Schick, Youssef En-Nesyri, Darwin Núñez, Broja, etc. They're all going to be targets again, and I do think that Calvert Lewin is going to be on that list and probably pretty high up as well, because he's got that Premier League experience. There's like with the Kurt Zouma thing. I think there's no smoke without fire. So there's definitely something in this. It's exciting. It might not be Calvert Lewin, but look, we're going to be getting a striker this year. We have to. But anyway, let's move on to the big game at the weekend. We face off against Big Fat Frank's Everton at home this Sunday at 2 p.m. Now, for those that are not going to the game, the match is being broadcast live on Sky Sports, and it's being officiated by Michael Oliver. So, Everton, what a shambles of a club they are at the moment. You think of that mental transfer window that we had, where we spent over 100 million on mediocre players, your Andersons, your Hallers. Everton have done that in what feels like about 6-8 consecutive transfer windows. They've spent a fortune, and all they've done is that they've got this collection of, okay players. They're nothing more than that. They've got a couple of really good players, but when you look at what they've spent, my God. Obviously, Ancelotti didn't work. Rafa came in. He was on a hiding to nothing at Everton. The fan base were never going to accept him, were they? And I suppose, look, that is understandable, but why in God's name employ him in the first instance? What were they thinking? It didn't make any sense. And when that did, obviously when it failed, they went and recruited a manager that, look, he failed to get Derby promoted. He did. He went to Chelsea. He spent a fortune at Chelsea, and he flopped at Chelsea. All they've done is they've just signed a name. That's all they've done. There's no logic to what they've done. I just don't think that Frank Lampard is up to this job in any way. The team, they're a collection of misfits, and he's added to that by bringing in the likes of bloody Dele Alli. Seriously, if you put it in perspective, when West Ham were struggling, Moyes went out and he grabbed Souček, a leader, which is what we needed at the time, an animal of a player that leaves everything on the pitch, and he set an example to the team on how to commit themselves in training and stuff like that. And yes, I did just compliment Souček. I must be going soft. But that is like a perfect example as to why I feel Everton are doomed this season. Since Frank took charge, they've lost 5 of 7 Premier League games, and they've lost 4 of their last 5. They got battered 5-0 by Spurs, which, look, it says everything about them. But they did scrape a 1-0 win against Newcastle before the break, their last game. So they're off the back of a win. But I think they got a player sent off in that game as well, Allen. I think so. So they're missing a midfielder as well when they play us. They sit 17th in the league on 25 points after 27 games. They're 11 on games played and just 4 points ahead of Burnley in 19th place, who they've got to play away 3 days after playing us on Sunday. And their running looks like this. So they've got to play us away. Then they're away against Burnley, like I said, 3 days later. Then they've got to play Man U, Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, and Arsenal. I mean, Brentford's in there as well, but even that's not an easy game when you're in the sort of form that they're in. So, in short, look, Frank Lampard's probably going to be relegating Everton this season. I'm almost certain of it. What an achievement, a team that I don't think they've ever been relegated, have they? That's going to look good on the old CV, Frankie boy. So, West Ham, I fully expect us to win this game and win it comfortably. I do. I'm expecting, I'm going for a 3-0 win. I am. I don't know whether that's a bit naive. I know they're fighting for their lives, but from what I've seen of them, they're there for the taking. They really are. 3-0. So what are your predictions anyway? And also, do you think that Everton are going to go down this season? Let me know in the comments. Well, look, that's all from me this morning. I hope you enjoyed this short show. It was my first time doing this after Gary kicked it off on Tuesday. So please, give me some feedback on what you think. And don't forget to like the video, if you enjoyed it, of course. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon if you haven't already done so. That way you will get notified when we schedule new shows and when we go live. We're going to be back on Saturday at 9 p.m. for our weekly Claret and Booze up, and you'll be pleased to hear that Virgil of the Marshes is back with us after recovering from his op. Now, I'm really looking forward to having him back. Feels like it's been ages since he's been away. So do grab a drink, come and join us in the live chat. Should be a fun show. So yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you all have a great Thursday. And it's almost a weekend. Come on, you irons.